I finally encountered my first issue with the Roadster. It's a bit over 1,000 miles, probably about 1,200 miles or something. I've had it for about 4 months. And I noticed the other day, I don't know if you can see this, but the forks where they're clamped at the top do not line up. They used to be lined up, and I know this for sure because I remember seeing them and looking at them when I was checking them out to change the fork oil, which I haven't done yet, and they were level, but now they're not, and you can see the mark where it used to be clamped on, but it seems like the fork has slipped up somehow. Now this isn't a huge deal, it hasn't slipped up very much, but if it slips up a little bit, who says that it's not going to slip up more when I'm riding and maybe cause a wreck? So I'm going to use my torque wrench. The torque on these bolts are 30 to 35 foot-pounds. I'm going to see if they're torqued correctly on this side, because for that to happen, all three of these would need to be loose. So I'm not sure. I'll check real quick, see if those are all torqued correctly. Alright guys, all of the bolts over here were torqued correctly, 35 foot-pounds. This top one down here seemed like it might have been right under that, but it's 30 to 35, so it was within torque specs. So I'm just going to go ahead and, adjust it, put it back where it's supposed to be, then I'll take it for a ride and probably talk about something else. Alright guys, now that I've tightened these up to torque, I guess I was checking the torque on them at 33 foot-pounds, which is between 30 and 35, and they were a little loose, so they might have been a little bit under that 30 foot-pound minimum, and the other side was not. But I tightened them all up to about 35 foot-pounds, which is the maximum. I'll keep you updated. Since we already have the torque wrench out and everything, we might as well do part 4 of the 1,000 mile service, and that's basically checking all of your torque settings for your bolts and screws, and checking operation, lubing cables if they need to be lubed. All mine are fairly smooth. I'll probably lube them at my next big change. Plus, I don't ride in the rain very often. If you ride in the rain, you're going to need to lube your cables more often. But let's just go down the list here. Check operation of electrical equipment and switches. I do that every day. Everything works. Check front tire pressure, inspect tread. The tread looks good. If your tread is bad after 1,000 miles, you are riding with far too low pressure in your tires, and you need to check that. I check my tire pressure about once a month. I know they're fine. I'll check it again later, but I know my tire pressure is good. There's front tire. Inspect front brake fluid sight glass. As you can tell, my front end is in the air, so I'll do that in a little bit. But the color looks good. I'll remember to do that later. Front brake reservoir cover screw torque. Alright, we'll do that. Check, adjust, and lubricate throttle controls. All of those are good. I just adjusted my throttle the other day. I like about 3 millimeters of play in my throttle. That's usually what it calls for anyway on motorcycles. So I actually adjusted that the other day. Mine was about 5 or 6 millimeters when I got it. What's next? Upper and lower switch housing screw torque. We'll do that. Alright, let's do the brake cover screws and switch housing torques right now. Just going to make sure they're nice and tight. not too tight. Yeah, they were a little bit loose. This is why you need to do this stuff. Okay, looks like those are gonna be a 27 Torx, or star as I call them, and then this one's gonna be slightly smaller. Yeah, for all of these small screws, you really just wanna make sure they're hand tight, they're snugged up. How I would suggest it, you don't wanna strip them, that would suck. Just put your hand on your wrench like this, way up towards the top, and just twist it. That'll keep you from over torquing it and stripping it out, and it'll make sure it's nice and snug. Inspect oil lines and brake system for leaks, contact, abrasion. Alright. Here is brake line. Other side. Everything looks good. Are these steel braided lines? It feels like they are, but I'm not sure. If anybody knows, let me know. No contact or abrasion. Well, that looks good. Oil lines. Here are all the oil lines down here. They look good over there. That one looks good. Those look fine to me. Inspect fuel lines and fittings for leaks, contact, or abrasions. Fuel line. Fuel lines. I mean, there's not much to the fuel lines. They just go straight down into the, or it just goes straight down into the injectors. Looks fine. A lot of this stuff is really mundane, but I mean, you kind of want to do it because if you have a hole in your oil line, you could get that oil leaking onto the back wheel. I had a guy come into the shop. He had an Indian Scout. His oil filter fell off when he was riding, and all of his oil just straight onto the road. His wheel, all over his wheels. It was, luckily he didn't crash. Upper front stabilizer link to engine bracket mounting screw torque. I'm just going to check all those. I'll check those in a bit. Front isolator mounting bolt, nut and torque. Yeah, that's one of those that I was looking at. Rear brake fluid sight glass. I'll have to check that whenever I set the front end down. Check rear brake reservoir cover screw torque. I can do that right now. Feels good. One was slightly loose. Inspect brake pads and discs for wear. If your brake pads are worn out by now, you are riding like a madman. And that's okay, but mine look good on the front. Got good meat on the back. I try to use my brakes as little as possible. Front axle nut torque. I'll do that in a bit. Brake banjo bolt torque. That would be this right here. I'll do that in a bit. Inspect and lubricate jiffy stand. My stand is good. It moves freely and smoothly. Check clutch adjustment. I just adjusted my clutch the other day. Check it, adjust and lubricate brake and clutch controls. It's basically the same thing. Check rear spoke torque. No rear spokes. Check rear tire pressure. Like I said, I always do that. You should too. Inspect drive belts and sprockets. Adjust belt. Okay, I'll do that in a second. Actually, I'll just do that now. Take a peek at it. Make sure it's got a little bit of play, not too much. Make sure there's no missing teeth or anything. I'll have to let it down and roll it to see the rest of it. But That looks good for now. Belts are very hardy. You should not have any belt problems this quickly. Check rear axle nut torque. I'll do that in a bit. Inspect exhaust system for leaks, cracks, and loose or missing fasteners or exhaust shields. I'm going to be sure to do this for sure. For sure. I've read about a lot of guys who have had their exhaust come loose while they're riding, and it's loud and annoying and terrible. So I'm going to make sure those bolts are on there good. All mine look like they're nice and snug. That one might be a little loose. I'll tighten that one down later. Battery terminal torque and clean connections annually. That should be fine. Replace spark plugs every 2 years. That's fine. Flush brake system every 2 years. That's fine. Road test. Don't mind if I do. Let me go ahead and check these ones that I said I would check later. If you want the torque numbers for all those, I'll put them in the description, and then we will road test. Okay, gonna go on a little test ride. The 1,000 mile service sheet says you gotta do it, so we gotta do it. Aren't you glad you did your service yourself and some weird technician isn't the one riding your bike around? Yes, I know, I have no gear on, but that's okay. We're just going on a quick ride. I'm gonna make sure to hit some bumps. Whoa, I haven't ridden without gear, without a jacket in a long time, so this is really weird. Bunny! Oh, here he is again. Everybody can see all my fat rolls now. So the 1,000 mile service is done. I have noticed an increase in gas mileage after switching to the full synthetic Quicksilver, which is good because the gas mileage was kind of disappointing. Yeah, I'm gonna hit some bumps, make sure that my forks do not slip again. That would not be cool. If you guys are happy that I showed you how to do your service, this last video I didn't really show you how to do any of it, but I mean, it's all just checking to make sure all the little things are good here and there. You can figure that out. But yeah, I've got a Patreon page, link in the description. You can be a patron. Thank me for saving you all that money. I've got stickers, a bunch of stickers you can buy. Those are cheap. Link for that is at the end of the video. I don't know where this road goes. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. The fork issue, yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, keep you guys posted. If I have any more problems, I'll let you know. I could have taken it to the dealership and I could have been like, hey, this happened, that's crappy, fix it. And I probably could have gotten, you know, free fork oil change, which I want to do. But you know, they're probably pretty busy. My bike would probably be out a few days minimum, and I don't want that. I ride it. Update on the Joker machine parts. No leaks. They've been holding up very well. They look awesome. They're very affordable. Go watch my install of those, and I got some links, and you can go to their website, you know. Let's hit some of these bumps. She functions good. She functions smooth. Still loving it. Still a great bike. All bikes are going to have some issues. No bike is perfect. Or maybe there is a perfect bike out there somewhere that I don't know about. Everything feels good. If you look at the Joker machine parts. Guys, you should go follow my Instagram too, because I don't have very many followers compared to how many subscribers I have. And sometimes I upload cool stuff. Look at those. Those look awesome. Let's check these forks. Looks good. Looks very good. I think we're gonna be A-okay, guys. We're gonna be A-okay.